Hi there and welcome to this Color It In video. Today I'm going to show you how to color in this beautiful flamingo scene. All of the supplies that you'll need will be in the description down below, including you can either print out a free coloring page from the link, but I also have tutorials on how to draw that yourself. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So in order to get started, we're going to do the background first, the sky. So I'm going to start with this bright pink. I'm going to smooth off the crumbs there. It's going to be at the top, so I don't want to waste, so I'm just going to smear it there. And I'm going to decide to make my pink about that tall. And it's going to, we're going to go up to here because we're going to work in sections. And then I'm going to lightly go across this way and outline the top here. And color it in. Now I like to go in circles because I feel like that really covers up all the paper, but whichever direction you go, it doesn't really matter with these crayons because you get such good coverage as long as you are covering up the paper. And notice that I'm sort of having a rough edge here and along the bottom because that's going to make it easier to blend later. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to this orange, and we'll make it about that tall. Bring it across, so it looks like it's going to be right there almost at the corner of the beak. And then we're going to outline carefully. So notice that I'm starting away from the line and working my way up against it. That's kind of like the best way to deal with these chunky crayons. And now I'm going to circle this in, and I'm trying to pick up some of that pink and mix it into this orange because that's going to also help us with our blending later when we go in with our fingers. And let's just color it in. And lastly, we're going to go in with that light orange. Now on camera, I'm not sure if you can tell the difference between the two. And in fact, even in person, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two. So I might throw in a little bit of yellow on top of this, just so we can see a definite light, medium, and dark. Yeah, so I think I'm going to throw in a little bit of this yellow. There, just to brighten it up a little bit. There we go. Pretty. Okay, now we're going to blend from light to dark. Starting at the bottom. So I like to go in horizontal strokes. Of course, I do want an outline here. And then I'm going to circle the orange right into there. Oh, this is going to be pretty. Going back to horizontal just to make sure I cover up all of the paper showing through. And then let's circle that pink in there. Ooh. And to smooth it out, now I'm going to go back to horizontal, and I'm going to let that orange disappear into the pink. This is why I chose this color combo, because I think it's so beautiful when this orange mixes in with the pink. It really looks like summer. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's clean that off. And we're going to make water in the background. And we're going to keep this part simple. Okay, so I'm going to outline this whole thing here. And you really want to make sure that you smooth off the crumbs, because you don't want that blue to contaminate your beautiful yellows and oranges. Okay, so now we can color the whole thing in, but if it makes it easier, you can even section off this part. And I am going to try to go in horizontal strokes. And this time I don't really mind if some of the paper shows through, because what I'm trying to achieve here is sort of like the look of the movement of water. So I'm trying to keep it as horizontal as I can, meaning not at an angle. But I also have to make sure that it blends well with the outline. Okay, same thing here. Now when I blend, first of all, make sure that your fingers are completely clean and try to blend in horizontal strokes. So normally it doesn't really matter which direction you go, because these colors, like I said earlier, they're so blendable, but because we're trying to imitate the movement of water, it does sort of make a difference which direction you go here. We're also going to enhance this a little bit later. All right, so now we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, let's clean off our fingers. Okay, I'm going to start with the head. So outlining it first, and let's color it in nice and neat. Take your time with this so that you don't accidentally color outside of the lines, especially around the eye. Okay, so before I move on, I'm going to blend this with a clean finger. So make sure all the blue is off of your finger. Now let's finish up the neck. So I'm just going to get right underneath that mark of the neck. You see how I'm sort of making it into a little bit of a triangle? And then let's also add some of this along the front of the neck here. Like a nice thick line, but we're going to blend it so it looks like more of a natural shadow. So I'm just lightly blurring the edge. So first I'm going to blend it and then I'm going to blur the edge. Yeah, that's a good method. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so base coat of white, because we're going to mix a little bit. Then I'm going to go back to this pink and lightly fan it out from the corner. So you just have to do lightly at the tip there. See how I'm just sort of feathering it up? And I'm sort of following the direction of the curves. And then same thing here. So I'm just bringing it up about midway. In the corners, I'm going to use a little Q-tip. To smooth it out, but then I'm going to use my pinky just to get in there and get like a really light tint of pink towards the top of the beak. Okay, now flamingos, I've noticed they have like a really dark tip, but I don't want to use black because I think that's going to be too harsh. So I'm going to use the dark gray here instead of black. And same thing, I'm just going to bring it, I'm just using the very corner or the very edge. Yeah, and you know what? I think I'm going to outline as carefully as I can right along here. just so we could see some of the separation of the top beak from the lower beak. And now just carefully blend it. I'm going to be brave and just use my pinky. Just kind of patting it. There we go. Ooh, how pretty. Okay, now before I do the eye, I'm going to bring in some palm trees here. And if you're nervous to do this part, then practice it first on a, like maybe you could print out another coloring page. Okay, so I'm going to start with this pale green first. So what I'm going to do is from the corner here, I'm going to make like a curved line like this. Then on this side, I'm going to just lightly flick in some fronds, but you see how I'm getting longer and longer as I move down. And then same thing over here, kind of like short and then longer as we move our way down. Okay. Okay, so that was my base coat, just to make sure I liked how it looked. In fact, I think I'm going to make it even fuller. So short little strokes and let them get longer and longer. And notice I'm sort of also curving it down. Okay, so I like the way that looks. So now I'm going to go in a little bit darker. And I'm just going to fill in kind of like in between some of those light ones so that we have a little bit of depth. And follow the same kind of pattern. Oh, I like that. This is that dark foresty green. So again, we'll find our midline and just sort of like sparingly, not as much as the other colors. So same thing on the other side. And then get them longer and longer. See, I'm more confident now because of how I did the first one. Okay, so short, longer, and longer. The trick is to flick it. So start off with hard pressure and then just release it as you come in towards the end. Now I'm going to move on to my white. And I'm just going to enhance the water a little bit. I'm just going to add a little bit of more like watery streaks sort of randomly in here. Probably should have done this while the blue was still moist for blending, but I think it'll be fine. So I'm doing like calm water with long horizontal strokes. I'm not putting lots of waves in here because this isn't like a wild picture, it's more calm. I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm just going to lightly blend some of that white in. I'm not going to overdo it because I want that white to stand out a bit, but I also want it to look like it's part of the water. Okay, so let's move on to the eye. I'm going to use a skinny Sharpie marker, a fine tip. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do you guys the favor of just pre-coloring this with the black. And notice that I left a little white dot, but if you don't do that, like let's just cover it up. I'll show you how you can add the white dot. And then I'm going to try to be careful. I'm going to carefully outline the eye with the black, but I'm not going to let it get into the pink because that could kind of ruin your marker. So you just want to get it up against and close to it, but don't let it mix in. Okay, now I'm going to add a little white dot in there. Now I usually use this with a paper clip that I open up and use the tip, but I don't have one today, so I'm going to use the tip of a skinny brush. So I'm going to, what I did was I used this white craft paint, and I'm just going to dip it in, but I don't want it to be gloppy, so I'm going to tap a little bit of it out. Okay. And then I'm just going to put it towards the back of the eye, but I'm not going to let it go past the lid. Okay, and I'm just going to go straight in with a quick little, there we go. And we're done. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I think it turned out beautiful, and hopefully we'll see you for the next one. Bye.